Folks, I want you to know this is a treat for me. We got the wholesome one here to talk Miami football today. And yes, he is repping the U with some good news and maybe some not so good news. But the wholesome one and I getting together today for a record. Then we thought, you know what? What the heck? Let's go live. Let's bring it to you live and get your comments and questions, debate topics, anything you want to throw in the live chat. So we'll get it out there on Twitter here soon and hopefully get a pretty decent audience together talking Miami football. Wholesome one, how you doing today?
It's a great day. It's a great day to be in Kane. I mean, even though the commitment was yesterday, we also had Greg opting out of the season, Greg Rousseau. But either way, man, we're moving forward as the Miami Hurricanes, and I think things are turning a new leaf in the off season. We'll discuss what's going to happen when we start playing football games here soon.
Three enormous stories to get to, as the wholesome one alludes to, so let's run them down. Greg Rousseau opting out for the season. Leonard Taylor commits to the U. And again, the ACC schedule not only released with opponents, but we've got the dates to tie to the schedule, and we know who Miami is playing week to week. So let's start with Greg Rousseau. I don't know if he was technically the ACC Defensive Player of the Year last year. I don't know that I kept up with that. Don't typically pay much attention to that, but he was probably the dominant force in the conference at defense. I don't put a whole lot of stock in postseason awards. Wholesome one. People are always asking me who's going to win the Heisman Trophy, and my typical response is, you want me to predict what somebody else is going to vote on? Is that what you're asking me to do? So regardless, the guy was a menace. I don't care if he was Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC, what he was. We all know from watching the games week to week, he just was a terror, and not a highly regarded player in regards to the recruiting rankings. But we had a dissertation from Cam Underwood on that a couple weeks ago in regards to what happened there. But certainly he turned in one of the great seasons we saw on the defensive side of the ball in college football last year. But he has chosen to not play here, wholesome one, in 2020.
Yes, and it's unfortunate for those of us who are fans of Greg Rousseau and fans of the Miami Hurricanes football team. I mean, you talk about a young man who, as a redshirt freshman, 15 and a half sacks, 19, I think it was 26 TFL. I mean, just went berserk, going off of the edge for us as a strong side defensive end for the Miami Hurricanes. And you think defensive end at Miami is something that we've talked ad nauseum about being a position that we were super excited about. I mean, you got Greg Rousseau opposite of Quincy Roche. You got 30 sacks right there between two players. You also have a player in Jalen Phillips, who, you go back to 2017 recruiting class, was number one or number two, depending on number one or number two player in the nation, depending on what recruiting cycle you're looking at and what recruiting site you like to use. He's also up to 265 pounds after transferring here and having wrist surgery. He was down to like 212, 220. Last year, a calendar year goes by, he's up to 265, ready to contribute for the Miami Hurricanes this upcoming season. So if there was a position in which that we can have someone opt out, I would say defensive end is one of them. And like I said, you kind of have a big picture landscape, and Coach Manny Diaz spoke about this in his presser yesterday, virtual presser, where he took questions on a Zoom. And he's saying, in this coaching industry, we care about the players as people. And Greg is opting out to do this for personal reasons. Now we have to go ahead and support him. And what I love personally as the host of him, he's letting them know a day before camp started. Camp started today, almost across the country. And he gives us a chance for Jafari Harvey to step up, for Quincy Roche to step up, for Jalen Phillips to step up, for Chance Williams, for Quentin Williams, these other defensive ends who are on the Miami Hurricanes roster. What they have to do now is step up and have an opportunity to play more. So I think Greg is someone who is a locked-in first-round draft pick, whether you want to talk top 15 or top 20, top 30, whatever. He's a first-round draft pick, someone who put up 15 and a half sacks with all the upside that he does have as a raw defensive end. Somebody at the National Football League is going to take a chance on his size and athleticism. So we wish Greg the 100% absolute best. I have no ill will in my heart. And I ask that us as a fan base have no issue towards his decision either. He has family that works in the medical field, and he let that out as the reason why. That's not me. That's what he has said. And I believe that when you let a man make his own decisions, you got to keep going on your own path. That's his path. So thank you, Greg, for all that you've done, the 15 and a half sacks, Wish we could have given you a better season to match up with that. But, I mean, what a great player. And I can't wait to see him drafted in the first round in February.
We appreciate the contribution from the Wholesome One. We got him here right here, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I know that the Wholesome One was live last night with all of this breaking news, so please jump on over to his channel, HOLSUM and the number one, Wholesome One, right here on YouTube. Catch out the live stream that he brought all this information and insight into the schedule, Rousseau, Taylor, on down the line, and we're going to give you some fresh perspective here from the Wholesome One in the next few minutes. All right. Appreciate everyone jumping in the live chat here quickly. We know that you had no warning of this. The Wholesome One was kind enough when I asked him yesterday to jump on this afternoon for a record. And then we just decide, hey, what the heck? Let's go live taking the questions from all of you. So take advantage here. We're coming back tomorrow with Cam Underwood from State of the U at 11 a.m. to talk more Miami football.
Woo-hoo.
We just keep it coming here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We got the super chat available, so understand and appreciate what we've got here with the Wholesome One providing analysis on Miami. Leonard Taylor, we talked about it weeks ago that August 6th was D-Day, the day he would decide and make that commitment. Third-rated defensive tackle in the country, according to the 247 Sports Composite. 27th rated player, regardless of position in the country. That's way up the ladder. And Leonard Taylor has decided to be a Cane.
And I love the way he did it, Mark. He has his family up there. And it's not like he has any of these props or anything. He's sitting in the middle, CBS Sports. There's two screens behind him. There's his mother, his father, his oldest brother. I'm committed to the University of Miami. Puts on the hat, throws up to you, tells everybody God bless, walks off. That's what I love. It wasn't any of the theatrics, flip this hat, throw that hat, disrespect that staff. Even if he were to flip the floor to get his hat and pick Miami, initially we would get all fired up and be happy. But, I mean, you think big picture, the mature thing is he picked his school. He talked about the relationship, and I talk ad nauseum about this on my channel. His relationship with his position coach and Coach Todd Stroud. And that's something that, wow. I mean, you got your recruiters, and sometime in this business, people don't understand that position coach isn't always your primary recruiter. In some instances, they are a secondary recruiter, or just geographically, maybe the safeties coach is from Atlanta, Georgia, and you're a running back from Atlanta. So that's his recruiting area. So then he's recruiting you. And then he brings on the position coach to talk to you occasionally. No, Todd Stroud was his recruiter. And he talked about how he's always calling him and checking up on his family, checking up on his grades, how he's doing as a person, and how he was dealing with the pandemic. And that really touched him, that he cared about him as a person, as Leonard Taylor, the human being, not what Leonard Taylor can do as a football player. And he also talked about putting on for his city. And doing this thing, repping his city and making plays here at Miami. And another big thing people may have forgot, towards the end, he said, dominate as a freshman. And what that means is us at defensive tackle, it's been some woes. I mean, even if you think about R.J. McIntosh, he was a 3-star strong side defensive end turned defensive tackle who came and had high production at Miami from a 3-technique perspective. Gerald Willis was a transfer. So as far as Miami going out and recruiting a marquee defensive tackle and signing a marquee defensive tackle, that has not happened since February of 2008 with Marcus Forston from Miami Northwestern. 12 years ago, Mark, was the last time we went and signed a marquee interior defensive tackle to come here and produce at the U. So, I mean, like I said, we've moved people to defensive tackle. We've had transfers come in. Gerald Willis was even a strong side defensive end originally, moved to defensive tackle. So it's exciting. It's exciting. The amount of athleticism that this young man has. I mean, he has the first 2 plays of his highlight tape, Mark, are interceptions. At defensive tackle, one of them he almost took back to the crib 60 yards. Like, that's the type of stuff. I mean, it's amazing to have those type of guys. We want to be able to hone their craft and turn them into legit defensive tackle. I mean, it's kind of cool seeing guys carry the ball. You know, you see the big 6'4" guy get a dive. It's kind of cool. You know, but those of us who study film, we want to see what he does as a defensive tackle. You talk about elite mobility as a defensive tackle, very nimble. You know, I think some systems may have actually made him a strong side defensive end because he's already pushing about 260 right now. And I can see him well over about that 285 range a full year into a Division I strength and conditioning program. I mean, even then, he may get to 270 before he gets to Miami. He still has a year left before he signs the letter of intent. But we get excited about these young men committing. That makes 3 out of the 5 for the Palmetto 5. Teaming them up with one of the best duos at defensive tackle we've had in recruiting in well over 20 years. We got a legit 3-star defensive tackle and a legit one technique, 2-eye technique next to him is Savion Collins, who's been committed for a while also. And has come out and said that Manny Diaz and him had a personal conversation and he solidified his commitment. There was some air going on there between him and us, and then he was creeping towards Florida. But then him and the head coach had a nice conversation about a week ago, smoothed over whatever needed to be smoothed over. So he solidified his commitment to Miami. So we got the number 3 defensive tackle and the number 15 defensive tackle in this class. The other half of it, we're about to get into, and that's being able to hold on to these young men. Once the footballs start getting thrown, once the pads get put on, and once helmets start rolling, what's going to happen when the Miami Hurricanes got to come on the football field and play the games?
We've got Kansas City Cartel, and we also have Thomas Wholesome One repping the hashtag Live Squad.
Yeah,
we got the Live Squad. We got the Rewatch Squad. We love them both equally. So whatever you can do to catch Miami football coverage right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And again, I advise you because Wholesome One, I had a lot of things to do. I couldn't necessarily catch too much of the content or the analysis, but I saw you online with a huge crowd of people really laying it down with about 220 on the line when I came by. So I just wanted to dive in there real quick, see what was going on. Didn't have time to stay, but was glad to see that you had a nice crowd to catch your analysis last night.
Hey, thank you, man. That was amazing. That was the first time I've had that many people in since like non-football season. But I mean, it, like you said, it was breaking news after breaking news after breaking news, all while we were on live. We did the live reaction to Leonard Taylor. Go ahead and check that out. That's at about 6 minutes and 58 seconds into the show. I got a timestamp. I had to go in and timestamp because it was like a 4-hour live. After that, Manny Diaz had a breaking presser that came out about an hour into it. And then after that, we discussed the schedule. Then I opened up the phone lines, and that turned into a whole different ordeal, man. But hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for the view. Thank you for swinging by, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is always a big payoff when you catch the Wholesome One breaking down Miami football. Don't you love it, Wholesome One, when you come across somebody that you've never seen before, never heard from before, and then you find out they've been watching, they love the content.
Oh, yeah.
Got SEC football, too. I have never seen this individual before, but saying, hey, Mark, what's up? Love the channel.
Much love, man. Hey, appreciate you. I don't know how long you've been around.
Watching for 3 days or 3 years or where they came from, but we appreciate it. So just let us know you're around. Leave your comments, your questions, your debate topics. Certainly, we've got enough to talk about anyway, but regardless of any questions that are brought. But if you've got any questions, leave them in the live chat. We've got, of course, the ACC schedule that came out. Of course, it typically starts with 8 games. That's the schedule in the ACC. You play everyone in your division. That's 6 other teams. You play the 2 crossover games if you're Miami, and that's always Florida State. And then it rotates. It was supposed to be Wake Forest this year. It was Louisville last year, but it's turned out to be slightly different than that with 5 home, 5 away. So do you have anything that jumped out at you in regards to looking at the schedule? I guess that one big thing would be, that team in South Carolina that got added.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say this right now. On this stage, we aren't to their level yet. That doesn't mean that you can't show up and show the type of coach that you are, type of coordinator that you are, the type of player that you are with a stage like at Clemson, South Carolina. Now, not saying we're going to go in and win. Not saying we're going to upset them. Not saying we're going to hop on and win by 60 points. I'm not that guy. That's not where I'm going with it. But all you can ever ask for is an opportunity. Now, what you do once you're given that chance, that's on you. But a stage like at Clemson, and it's probably going to be a primetime 8 p.m. That's what I'm thinking. If we're 3-0 going into that after a bye week, and there's no other really marquee games on October 10th. So I'm thinking we'll probably get College Game Day and get that stage and get an opportunity, which will be a blessing. I mean, at the end of the day, all you can ask for is a chance to show up and see what type of program Coach Manny Diaz and his staff, the front office, the football operations at the University of Miami has started to put together. There's 2 games that come and pop out to you. Of course, you got Clemson on October 10th, Saturday. And you also have Saturday, December 5th, home UNC. There's a chance that both teams can have maybe 1 or 2 losses going into that game. And it'll most likely be for a second spot in the ACC championship game, which we all know it'll be a different, it isn't about because it's a coastal rival. It's just an ACC opponent. So a December game at home, if it was at UNC, I'll be a little nervous, but it's at home. I'm pretty excited. I think that's one of the games that the players are just going to be super amped for. And the problem hasn't been, Mark, motivating the players to show up in games that they feel threatened, in games that they need to show up in. It's the games that they feel like, oh, we can just roll out there and beat these boys. No. It's not like that anymore. This ain't 2002. We ain't like that no more. We got to build to being like that. And that's something that Coach Manny Diaz has talked about with our players. I mean, you walk into our indoor practice facility, the guys on the roster right now haven't done anything for those national championships that's in there. And just getting them to understand, yeah, you wear the same colors. You wear our logo, but we haven't done what those teams have done. We have opportunities to. We could be. Let's build on it, but we're not them just yet. And I love that approach. I truly do, because, I mean, we rep that U, but we all know when the University of Miami is rolling, woo, it can be bad. But when was the last time you could say that about our program? Sustainable rolling, not just we're doing well, we won a big game, we got a nice recruiting class. Talking about 2 or 3 years of building something to where you're like, okay, they're not there just yet. Took another step next year. Oh, took another step. Those type of things. And I think that's what Coach Manny Diaz and this staff and these players and the leaders that we have on the team are ready to do. But we go down the schedule. I'll give you a whole all the way from top to the bottom, and then we could discuss it. So Thursday night opener, September 10th, home UAB, quality opponent. 2 years ago, 11-win team, a team that's going to be fired up to have a stage for a Miami game. And we have a little bit of time in between this game and the next game, with it being on a Thursday, and this at Louisville on September 19th. What I love about how that sets up for the first 2 games is you get the first game jitters out the way at home. Then you get your second game as a nice road test at Louisville. Okay. Then the third game, you get it out the way. Your rivalry game, those people from Tallahassee come down to Miami Gardens, and we get a chance to go ahead and handle them and scoop them and get them out the way like we should. On the 26th, you have a bye week. Then you have another opportunity where you're going on the road to Clemson, 4th game of the week. And you also have Pittsburgh at home, Virginia at home on the 17th and the 24th, another bye week. Now we go at Dave Dorm's squad, NC State, on a Friday, 9 times out of 10, a Friday night of November 6th. Then you have Saturday, November 14th, you have at Virginia Tech. Got to show up for a top 30, 40 team like Virginia Tech, no problem. Going to be very well coached. As we saw last year, they were down and still beat us in the shootout. Then you have on the 21st of November, home for Georgia Tech. First time we'll have back-to-back ACC or ACC rival like that at home. We played them last year at home. Now we get them at home again. On the 28th of November, you have at Wake Forest, which was a game that was already scheduled around that time anyway, so nothing new. And then you have the regular season closer, December 5th, home for UNC.
Okay, we got the wholesome one talking Miami football and so much to get to. He just ran down the ACC schedule, Miami's 10-game season. That obviously is an aberration from the 8-game season that we typically have. Notre Dame is included, and Notre Dame is eligible to win the ACC championship game. Wholesome one, I want you to understand what perspective I'm coming from when I make this statement. I am rooting for Notre Dame to win the ACC. Now, before everybody jumps and goes crazy about why I'm doing that, this has nothing to do with how much I like or dislike Notre Dame. This has nothing to do with that. I just I will find it amusing if Notre Dame jumps into the ACC for 1 year and wins it. I just think that would be poetic justice for what I consider to be a stupid decision by the ACC.
My viewpoint on this whole thing, Mark, it's funny because we talked about this.
Yep.
We talked about it before it was announced. And I was saying I literally vividly remember talking about this 3 weeks ago. This is an opportunity where someone needs to force Notre Dame to join a conference. Now, unless, and I think it's something in the works that just hasn't been announced just yet. I think that they're going to join the conference. I think the ACC is just trying to find a second team to join with them because you can't have odd. Unless you can tell me something I don't know, because you the voice of college football. Is there any other conference that's odd like that, where one side is more teams than the other?
There have been in the past. The old Big East had an odd configuration of teams. They got the Big East that Miami belonged to had not an even number of teams. It was 9 at one point. It was 7 at one point. And there have been some other ones, but you do have scheduling difficulties. Not everybody can play a conference game on the same weekend because you can't play each other because you're going to have one team sitting out. And it is difficult to work through, and you don't have that uniform 8 teams, 12 teams, 8-game conference season. Yeah, it has to be figured out with 15, but maybe you go grab that team in the middle of Florida, bring them up.
I would love
that UCF team.
Grab UCF.
And then the ACC is much better with those two joining.
Absolutely. And not only that, you're helping an in-state team. That's a built-in rivalry with Miami and UCF that you can have rolling. And I would think that would give, but then it would be probably too lopsided if you put Notre Dame on the Atlantic side, because then you would have Notre Dame and Clemson, and then Miami and whoever wants to show up that week, that year. 7 straight different winners. And think about that. What if UCF comes and wins the ACC at Coastal first year in? Wouldn't that be something else? So, not that I would predict them to do that, because I think we're going to take our step. But it would be nice to add them into the conference. But to go on what you're saying, I think the complete opposite. I think if anything needs to happen, we as a conference cannot allow Notre Dame to come in and win.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. I'm just talking as a bystander. And for example, I root for chaos in the college football playoff every year just because I want to see the system debunked. So I would just find it to be amusing and poetic justice if Notre Dame would win the ACC.
It would be wild. That would be wild. I've always said I think they're a Big Ten team. I think they have like a built-in rival with every single team dang near in the Big Ten, especially geographically. It would just be knock out of the park, perfect thing. But like I said, I'm not gonna take my shots. You already do your show with the team that I'm talking about that forced them not to be able to join the Big Ten. If you know, the team I'm talking about that forced them out. But if they join, that would another thing that would happen, Mark, it would force everybody to take a step up. As much as we, Notre Dame is a little overrated every year, but it would force teams like Miami, we can't lose to them. Not only because there's a built-in rivalry, but also because there would be a conference game. If we want to make the ACC championship game, then we can't lose to them. So I would love it if they joined and officially. I think that would be a big move to give it a patch on their jersey for the ACC. And like I said, I think something's in the work. We'll look back years from now or months from now. Maybe something comes out. And one thing is when teams join conferences, there's a contract that's signed, correct, for a certain amount of years.
Sure.
So my question is, what other teams in a different conference to where their years are starting to wane off to where now they can sign into a new conference to join with Notre Dame would be my question. I don't know.
Well, what's happened in the past, Wholesome One, is that there's so much money involved in regards to the gain is that, Maryland, for example, said, we've got greener pastures in the Big Ten. We can make more money. And they bought out the ACC. Between them and the Big Ten, they said, here, ACC, here's $15 or $18 million. We're buying them out of their contract. And so that's how they get around that.
Oh, wow.
Maryland still had time left in the ACC, and they just bought their way out of it.
Whoa. I'll take $15, $18 million.
We could split it. Anybody
Absolutely.
on the super chat want to donate $15 to $18 million for the Wholesome One and I? We'll stay on here for 10 hours.
Yeah, well, I'll be here all day. I'll give me a nice chair, whatever y'all want to do.
So the way you can all realistically contribute to the channel is, number one, hit the like button. Yeah. So we got 904 Hurricane. We got many of you also encouraging others to hit the like button. So I appreciate everybody that jumps in the live chat and says, hit the like button, smash it down right now, get it done. We've got the super chat available, as I've got noted on the banner below. You can contribute also to Mark Rogers TV using Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Just go down to the description section of any of the videos and grab the link. 904 Hurricane wants a comparison here between Cameron Williams and Chance Williams.
Okay. Well, Cameron Williams is a 6'5" guy. He was about 220 last year. He's climbed up to about 230 right now. And I wouldn't say, I got to be careful how I say this. Size-wise, he's very similar to Greg as far as super long arms, lanky guy that can get after the QB. Now, he played a little bit of a striker position. He wasn't just a pure defense end in high school. The high school that he played at, Chaminade, Madonna, they run a 4.25. And we've got a lot of guys out of there, Keontre Smith and Greg and things of that nature, that come from that school to the University of Miami. And they run a very similar system to us in the 4.25 scheme. And Cam Williams was that striker linebacker type of player who came here to play pure defensive end. I think he's somebody that can feature in. I think he still needs a couple mango seasons before he's like a big-time contributor to the team. But Chance Williams, a borderline, he was like one of the highest-rated 4-star recruits from the 2020 recruiting class this past year. Every SEC offer you could think of. And originally, he had, boiled down to, I think, Auburn, Georgia, and LSU. But then built a great relationship with the University of Miami and ended up picking Miami as he's more of a 3-4 outside linebacker type edge rusher, where he's super nimble and super athletic, super elusive with the way that he gets after the QB. Somewhat more of a Von Miller type of edge rusher as opposed to a Khalil Mack type of edge rusher. The difference between the both is they both play 3-4 left outside linebacker. But Khalil Mack is a power rusher. He'll pick you up and blow you up. While Vaughn is, he's doing spin moves and chop dip rips, and he had great hips and flipping around and dancing and stuff. Like it's a different way he gets to the QB. And I think that's a similar type of comparison here. So Cam Williams is more of a power rusher with this long limb, to where Chance Williams is a really dynamic, elusive edge rusher presence. He's a guy I could definitely see in his career here in Miami touching 10 sacks at least 1 year. The way that he can come off of that football, the way that he can chop, dip, rip, and he keeps his distance between offensive tackles. And what I'm hoping they don't ever do is power set him. Because if you power set and he gets a quick swim, it is over. What I mean by power set is usually you see a soft set offensive tackle. What that means is they kick, and when they land that right foot, if they're at right tackle, right leg again, that's about 3 to 4 steps to where they keep, and they're kicking and giving ground to be able to put their hands up and keep the distance between. When someone power sets, it's usually 1 or 2 steps. You kick initially off of your inside leg, and you're taking those 2 steps, and you're boom, hitting them and keeping them at the line of scrimmage. That's what you do against your bigger guys to where they can't bull rush and build momentum towards you. But when you soft kick, you're able to say, well, I got longer arms than this guy. I can kick and keep him at bay. So I'm hoping that when it comes to Chance Williams, people do not power set him or quick set him. They're going to have to soft set. They're going to have to kick and give up ground to try to keep him away. Because if you stop and he gets around you instantly, play over.
All right, I want to address what Judge Juno's bringing to the table right here. So what we've got going on here should be a whole lot of fun and very amusing and entertaining for me, because when I can bring on good entertainers and information people like the wholesome one here, then you hear me the rest of the time doing my analysis. But man, this is free information and insight for me. I just kick back and let the wholesome one just go with it, and I don't have to be crunching numbers and looking things up and then delivering myself. But so we bring both here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. You get analysis from me, and I bring on the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the industry, like the wholesome one. So what Judge Juno was alluding to here, we've had Mr. Jason Parker, who joins us on our Florida State live show each and every week. He's been calling out. He's been calling out Cam. He's been riding him. And so they had a bit of a back and forth on Twitter that was interesting. And of course, I had to be tagged and drug into it. So I said, whoa, hey, what's going on here? And Jason was calling out Cam and wanted to have it out with Cam. And so we're talking Miami football with Cam tomorrow at 11 a.m. And near the end of the show, you folks, if you want to see an entertaining 10 or 15 minutes or whatever it turns out to be, I don't know. Got Jason coming on, and he and Cam are going to duke it out. So that should be a whole lot of fun.
Oh, I may have to wake up early for that one.
So, Jason, I feel bad for you.
Man, you know how I feel about that school. So,
So it's Tallahassee against the U coming up tomorrow. All right, Eddie the Cane, we appreciate the Super Chat contribution. I'll get to the screen in just a second. I'm looking at a little bit different live chat than everybody else does that goes through StreamYard, so I've got to catch up to everybody here, but I will post that to the screen. Thank you so much, Eddie the Cane. The question I have for you, wholesome one, in response to the Rousseau absence would be, you mentioned some defensive ends who need to step up, who could step up. You did also mention that, hey, between Quincy Roche and Jalen Phillips, that's not a bad place to be. Most teams across America would say, hey, even without Rousseau, we'll take those two at DN for us. Mm-hmm. But is there a particular guy, now that those guys should be, jumping at the opportunity for more playing time and saying, hey, this is my chance? You mentioned about three guys. Is there anyone in particular that you're very interested in seeing step up and make more of an impact at the end?
He wears number 12. He's about 6'4", 247 pounds right now. His name is Jafari Harvey. Listen, fellow Lots brother. But this young man, I don't know who his defensive line coach was in high school at Vero Beach, but when you watch his high school film, the moves that this guy was using, I'm like, whoa, like when you're usually the biggest guy on the field or one of the bigger guys, a marquee 4-star guy, you usually see them just flat out dominate, picking up guys, throwing them, huge big head, strip sag, all that type of stuff. He had all the athleticism, but what you notice is that he's a technician too. I mean, there's plenty of times where I'm watching him simply just pick apart offensive tackles with realizing what type of set, just like I said, a soft or hard set, a quick set, or, that type of thing. He's looking at that initially. He already knows what moves he's going to use. And he's just completely using moves before they're even able to punch him. Before they're even able to get their hands on him, he's already double swipe gone, sack. Or even his plays where his effort has been tested. I mean, I remember when going to a practice last year, one of the two that I was privy to being able to attend. And he's standing next to Zach McLeod, who was a 4-year senior at the time. And he was becoming a redshirt freshman. Hadn't even put on his red shirt yet. And he was the exact same size as Zach McLeod, who's been here for 4 years. That type of production, that type of effort as an early enrollee defensive end, this is a type of young man. He is going to jump off the scene when he gets his opportunity. We got to see him play a little bit in La Tech. It was his first time playing. I believe he had 1 or 2 tackles in the game. He didn't jump off the screen just yet. But him being able to come in kind of like how John Garvin did in 2017 as a situational pass rusher. You come in, you got one job. Don't jump off sides. And as soon as that ball moves, you fly to the ball carrier. Just give us 100% effort. That way we can evaluate it and we can work on moving forward. But that's the type of stuff as far as laying the pillars to create a good program. It's when you got marquee 4-star guys like that doing number one thing, Mark, early enrolling. When they early enroll the very next semester, they're not contributors instantly. They're taking a red shirt. Beautiful 4-game rule for us nowadays. And it's any 4 games. It isn't just the first 4 games. And not only that, now year 2 in the system, as a redshirt freshman, he's a feature player, meaning he's coming in and playing certain downs, but he doesn't have to be an instant contributor. And by my research, year 3 is when you want those guys, redshirt sophomores or true juniors, to start contributing to your team at a high level. And that's what's going to happen with Jafari Harvey, barring any injury, anything of that nature. But this year, I would keep an eye out for number 12 edge rusher Jafari Harvey.
Got 863 U family on the line. Wholesome one. What's the relationship with the staff and Mason Smith? Are they going hard after him?
Mark, I'm one of those people that if there's something that I do not know, I do not know. When it comes to Mason Smith, he's one of the best defensive tackles in the country out of Louisiana. 100% lean to LSU to a lot of guys, but we made his top 8, I believe. We're in conversation. It's something I don't really want. I don't know. Can't speak on that. We got it. We got the guy that we want. We have the 3 players that we want at defensive tackle right now. That's Leonard Taylor, that's Savion Collins, and that's Hay. Last name Hay. I can't think of his first name right now. I think it's Allen Hay, I believe his name is. 3-technique defensive tackle from a local prospect. All righty. So we got our 3 guys. If we were to go grab him, amazing opportunity to get a marquee guy like that. If we make his top 3, make his top 2, get a hat on the table on National Signing Day, it would do well for the University of Miami. But I believe when it comes to defensive tackle, we have the guys that we want to be a part of this roster. That's my personal view on it. Like I said, I don't know. I can't speak on something I don't know. That's just from my perspective from what I'm seeing. Mason
Smith right there with Leonard Taylor step for step in regards to the scouting report. 15th rated player in the country, number 2 defensive tackle, highest rated player in Louisiana, Mason Smith out of, Louisiana, and has all the offers that you would expect from the big boys, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, LSU.
Mark, this guy has defensive end moves at defense. It is not okay. Whoa. Okay, now he dropped it down. Before it said 9-2 for Miami, Luke Walker. Now it say 8-3. Okay, which one is it?
Yeah, that didn't take long.
Which one is it? Which one is it? I mean, are we gonna do a schedule right now? I mean, 9-2 would be good, but it depends on who those 2 L's are gonna be too. I think, and to me, we're talking about an 11-game season. Every week is a must win in my opinion. But I can see that. I mean, you go from 6-7, 7-6 to 9-2. That's a nice step up for Manny Diaz building on this program. Like I said, it depends on who those 2 losses would be to. But if you tell me one of those is Clemson, which nationally people would think, and the other one to me could be a toss up between maybe a Vatech, a UNC, or maybe a Pitt, depending on how we focus up after what happens in Clemson. So not that I would be happy, but that would be a lot better than what we've seen.
So Wholesome One, of course, I'm listening to you. I'm scanning the live chat for good comments and questions, posting those to the screen. I'm looking up recruiting rankings and every other information. I'm also organizing a grill session with my daughter. We got to make sure of what we got in the house here. to grill up here in a few minutes. So we lost power for about 48 hours. So we got to check the hamburger, make sure that's still good, and all the other condiments, and make sure what we need to get at the store. So we're working on that as well. That's very important. All right. 904 Hurricane. I don't know if the Wholesome One can jump in and has any insight into this. So 904 Hurricane is telling us that during the live stream, of course, we got the comments that you can read on the screen. But when he goes back to watch the taped recording of the live stream, he can't find the live chat comments. And I've noticed that before. I haven't changed any settings, but I've noticed a couple of the recent live streams that I have, you can't pull up the live chat.
Yeah,
and so I don't know what's going on there.
Huh.
So 904 Hurricane, I'll look into that and see if I can figure out what's wrong with that and why it's doing that. But I haven't changed any settings, and it's always been to where you can watch the live chat and follow along when you rewatch, because we want to make things good for the rewatch squad.
Absolutely. Hashtag rewatch squad, hashtag live squad. Appreciate y'all. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. You used to be able to do that as far as, interesting. That may be a StreamYard thing, because I know when you used to be able to do it just through, what was the old thing we used to use, Mark, on Google?
Hangouts.
Hangout. Yeah, that was, wow, man. Those are kind of cool. I mean, the only difference was you couldn't have both our faces on there at the same time, and whoever was talking, it was like flip back and forth.
That's right.
Kind of like how Zoom is now. But this is I love StreamYard now. This is really cool. But yeah, man, those are the days, huh?
Yeah, I like the StreamYard because we can I can post the comments to the screen, so everybody gets their FaceTime. There, Eddie the Cane, bam, super chat. Thank you so much, Eddie. Appreciate it there. Letting everybody know. Wholesome One, great dude. Mark, I'm glad you count on him as well as Cam for all things Canes. Keep it up, gents. Hit the like, sub to both of them.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Eddie the Cane. Appreciate it. A vivid supporter of the channel, both through monetization and comments and all that stuff. So thank you very much, Eddie the Cane. God bless, brother.
Eddie touches on something that's very important. To sub, it doesn't cost you anything. There's no reason not to hit the sub button and get the notifications. That way you know when we're going live, you know what's going on with the channel. We're not going to drive you crazy with anything else. All you get is the notification so you can keep up with what's going on. And I'm guessing much like the Wholesome One, my situation is I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I've got all sorts of other stuff going on in my life. And with work, you know, it'd be a different deal if, and this is the goal, I'm doing this full time all the time. And then you talk about content. I'd be going full bore all the time. I'd have so many channels and so many posts, you wouldn't believe what was going on. But as it stands, you know, we got the family, we got certain other things going on, and we've got a full-time, more than full-time job. So I get on here as much as I can, but sometimes we don't know when that's going to be. But if you get the subscription, you hit the bell for the notifications, because I have a number of people telling me all the time, I didn't know you were going live. Well, are you subscribed?
Are you notification squad?
There you go.
There's 3 squads. There's live squad. There's hashtag live squad. Make sure you put the hashtag in there. Hashtag rewatch squad. And hashtag notification squad. If you're a part of all 3 of those things, you're truly contributing to our channels, man. And that is an amazing feeling to know that there's people. I say it all the time. I'm just a guy that reads a whole bunch of books and watches hours of film talking into a screen. We're nothing without you all's
absolutely
support back to the program, back into our channels.
I tell people all the time, you guys made this happen and continue to make it happen. When I had 100 subscribers, I was doing exactly the same thing. Maybe I didn't have one fancy microphone here, but besides that, and I've added some other things, but pretty much when I had 50 subscribers, I was doing exactly the same thing. So you guys have gotten me to close to 21,000 subscribers by getting the word out there.
Man, the wild part is, now I don't know how many home games you've been to at Ohio State. Have you been to a recent home game?
The last time I was there was about 2 years ago.
Okay. When I went to Orlando, and just the sheer love, and I felt I prepared to run into people who may or may not like me, or, you know, I can't stand, whatever, and just keep it going and say, hey, thank you for coming over. But the overwhelming people that just host someone or Holloway or how you doing, man, and shake hands and take pictures, and you're like, you want to take a picture with me? You want to sit next to me and ask me what's going on throughout the game? Like, it's a humbling experience, man, and it's a blessing. It truly is.
So we've got a Tuesday night Florida State show with Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day, who's checking us out right now. Mark Rogers wants Notre Dame to win the ACC. That's noted for Tuesday night show. So again, Miami fans, you're probably almost as prevalent in our Florida State show as Knoll fans. So those Knoll fans have to step up because we got the Canes fans bombarding our Florida State show on Tuesday nights. Wholesome One, I'm going to let you take off on something here because I'm going to step off. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. So whatever you want to talk about, I need to flag down my daughter here real quick.
All right, cool. Hit me. All right. Well, Mark, you could have got this guy off of the screen. Oh, God. Anyway, appreciate all of y'all for being here. Thank you all so much to everybody that's hashtag Live Squad for being here. If you haven't subscribed to the Host One Holloway's channel already, go ahead and do that. Swing on over to my channel. I do have an announcement for the end of this show talking about my channel and also talking about where I'm going to go moving forward for the channel that will be premiering tonight at 8 p.m. on my channel, Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you swing by for that. I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the Greg Rousseau opting out thing. We talked about it earlier in the show. Please, let's be mindful that these players are people. These players have their futures and their families' interests at heart, okay? And it's number one to them, all right? Let's not call them selfish. If we don't understand the situation, even I don't understand his situation fully. He came out and made a statement talking about his family was the reason why he made this decision, and his family works in the medical field, all right? So let's be very mindful when we come at players about stuff like that. Because it's not our decision. It's not ours at all. I would love to see Greg come out there and do his thing and be able to make his stock go even higher. All right. So appreciate that. And the way that we talk about these young men as people. All right. They're not just Miami Hurricanes player number 15. They're Greg Rousseau, who plays football for the Miami Hurricanes and would obtain his degree from the University of Miami. He's a person. All right. An actual human being. We're human beings. We're people. All righty. Either way, I love the way the Miami Hurricanes schedule is set up, man. I love the way how we got UAB, a nice home test. We got away with Louisville. Okay, nice test there also. We also got those people from Tallahassee coming down. We're going to handle them. I think either way with their coach, I think week 3 may be too early in the season for whatever he's got going and rolling in the program. To fix it up. And I've said it before, I would love to get him early on because I don't know if Mike Norvell is going to be able to have it rolling later on in the season. But make it 4 years straight. They got all the way to 7. So we got some years to catch up with. But, I mean, we still own the overall. We still have more national championships. And we have a lot less NFL busts. Guys that just go to college, live off athleticism, and as soon as they get to the NFL, they're out within 3 years. So even our fourth-round draft pick players stay. They make it to a second contract.
Now, again, I don't know if we still have Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day, our guy on Tuesday night in the live chat. But, Logan, if you haven't heard this, we got Jason Parker and Cam Underwood from State of the U on tomorrow. And they're going to match wits, and it should be a heck of a time getting those two together. And look out. That should be quite the Florida State Miami matchup. Should be interesting tomorrow. So we got Cam on at 11 a.m. and then about 55 minutes later at the end of the show, we'll bring on Jason, and who knows what they're going to talk about once they go at it. But they had quite the confrontation on Twitter the other day.
Mark, the old saying goes, if you have nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. So when it comes to them, I just keep walking.
All right. What else do we have here? Oh, well, Florida Trucker 1024 mentioned with all the great recruiting news, all the top line recruits and commits that have occurred over the past several weeks, is there a quarterback out there?
Oh, good question. I like that. Good question. I mean, there's news about a certain quarterback who has transferred all the way across the country. Jake Garcia is playing his senior year of football in the state of Georgia. Now, there was rumors out there about him trying to come to the West, which is Miami Northwestern, to be their QB for his senior year. I would have thought that would have been amazing, but they already got a marquee QB down there right now. Dynamic speedster guy. I mean, he's kind of similar how, because Tutu Atwell played QB at Miami Northwestern too, and he wanted a shot to play quarterback at the Division I level. Everyone and their mom knew he wasn't a Division I QB at 5'8" and a quarter, but Louisville gave him 3 practices, so that's why he ended up going there, because they were going to give him a chance, and then he ended up going to wide receiver, and now he's the best wide receiver in ACC. So I think Jake Garcia is still in play. I understand everyone's viewpoint on it, as far as we probably need to let it go and let him do his thing. Either way, I know for a fact we have a QB for this year, because I don't think that De'Aaron King, is going to opt out. He has to. If he wants to get drafted, he has to go out there and show us something, because it would have been 3 years ago now that any film of him marquee wise was 2018, and the draft is in 2021. So he needs a year if he wants to have an NFL career at the Division I level at the University of Miami, doing a well job. So I would love to see us go after go after Jake Garcia and keep him in conversation. And I think that Coach Ritt Lashley has guys just in case. But besides that, I think Jake Garcia is probably the number one guy we're still communicating with. And that's something, I mean, even if a guy commits to another school and says they're shutting down their recruitment, coaches don't stop calling. Coaches don't stop texting. They're still going to keep in contact with you. Never completely close the door on a recruit because, number one, you all build a relationship with each other. So even if you just shoot them a quick text or give them a call, hey, how you doing? How's everything going? How's the family? Are you still looking? Are you still interested? There's still always a conversation going. Even with Leonard Taylor, he picked the U. Super happy about that. But you would be remiss to think Florida isn't still calling, or Florida isn't still trying to get him to. Now we don't have to worry about coming on a visit because of what's going on nationally. So that helps us out a little bit. So I think a lot of those players, they can come on unofficial visits to the University of Miami because guess what? It's the only school that's driving distance from everybody. Darn near walking distance if you want to talk about Palmetto and Coral Gables, literally high. It's walking distance. So I think that's helping us out a lot too, if I'm being honest.
We've been as high as 170 on the line. So what amazes me about that is that this was not announced. We just hit the live stream and just went at it. So Anthony Manzano, you and others are asking about Greg Rousseau's replacement. So understand that you missed a part of the show. We're 53 minutes in. Wholesome One has addressed the Rousseau situation, his decision, and replacement players. Roche and Phillips, obviously, two of the better defensive talents at that position in the country, and then the other guys that will step in. So just go back and watch the video once it posts. But the Wholesome One has certainly covered that ground. The team goes to practice today, correct? Is today day one?
Today is day one. Now, again, I don't know if it was this morning or if it's this evening. But I haven't had any Twitter feed yet. I haven't seen any crazy pictures. So more than likely, it'll be this evening or this afternoon because it hasn't been nothing has come out yet. I know we had practice early this morning here at NDSU. It's raining now, so thank God we had practice earlier today. So we got a pretty good QB, and we're excited about that. I'm a little hurt about the Oregon game not happening, but things are looking good.
Very nice. Very nice. We encourage you to step on over to the Wholesome One's YouTube channel. So that's HOLSUM and the number one. If you haven't done so, there it is. HOLSUM and the number one right here on YouTube for Miami football coverage. on a regular basis. So you get what you get here, but you get a whole lot more. So do the deep dive over there with the Wholesome One. And as you know, here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, our aim is to deliver the best in discussion, debate, and analysis of college football each and every day. The Wholesome One and I were discussing this before we started on the live stream today, that I didn't have power for 48 hours, and that was coming off a trip where I was out of town for about 5 days, so I could only produce so much content, to the point at one point where I just stuck the phone in my face and ripped off a video on the ACC schedule release and the SEC schedule release. But besides that, try to keep this thing humming on full cylinders all the time, regardless. And I got some catching up to do in regards to my analysis of the Big Ten schedule, the ACC schedule, and others. And we also had the coaches poll come out, the preseason top 25, with no Tennessee, Florida State, Miami in the top 25. But they can play their way out of that. Wholesome One, they can play themselves right into the top 25. The thing means nothing right now.
Mark, listen. For as long as I've been a Canes fan and a favorite researcher, anytime we preseason, as of late, it don't always turn out to be in the postseason team that's ranked. So I just want to make sure we get that understanding. A lot of teams, and even at one point, I think there was a nice little record going of like a national championship team or someone who played in it wasn't even ranked, or at least were in the top 10, and they end up winning the national championship or playing in the game. So not saying that Miami's anywhere near that program just yet. Let's also get that understood. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is it's been years to where we'll start off on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, and we'll get overranked. And then we ran into Tallahassee when they were cheating and scamming and getting all these 5-star recruits back to back. And then we ended up losing that game, and it just derailed the whole season. That doesn't happen anymore, thank God. And so now we're not really ranked like that. And I still think we're not a top 25 team until it's proven on the field anyway. I mean, yeah, we look good on paper. I mean, cool. We got Derek King. We had Greg Rousseau. I mean, we got Quincy Roche. It looks cool. There's reasons why you would think to pick us. And I believe we got votes, but not enough to make the actual top 25. So that's fine. I think as of right now, we're a top 40 program until we prove otherwise on the football field. And I think that's something that we have to accept. What matters is what you do in between the white lines on Friday, Thursday, and Saturdays, not what we do February on a Twitter war. Okay. Even like I said, I'm super excited about these recruits picking Miami. James Williams, I was at work and went live while I was at work on my break to talk about James Williams. But just as easily as James Williams picks the University of Miami, if we don't handle things on a football field, he's going to Georgia. He's going to Bama. Just as Leonard Taylor picked Miami yesterday. If we don't handle business, he's going to Florida. You get what I'm saying? We got to handle things on the football field. And I think we have a staff that understands the importance of relationships off the football field, the importance of relationships with their high school head coaches locally, most important, the families locally, most important, and then understanding the importance of pulling it all together and winning football games. It's like none other. There's no conversation about that.
Got the Wholesome One on the line. Please check him out. Turan, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. I just posted it to the screen. Eddie the Cane as well. And again, Turan just posted that one to the screen. There was a third. And so my apologies here. So please understand that. So I'm looking at a different live chat than you are. It funnels through StreamYard and enables me to post your comments to the screen. So we start the show, you guys start commenting, I get 10 to 15 minutes behind. And once I post a comment to the screen, it kind of resets the chat for me. It resets the scroll. So I can only go back so far. So if somebody had a super chat contribution, let's say 5 or 10 minutes ago, I can only go back maybe 20 comments and it's gone. So unfortunately, I would like to post all those to the screen, and I think we do about 99% of the time, but somebody had a super chat contribution that I may have missed in all of that. Ballard Sports Media, big SEC fan, asking which position is Miami most trying to target for the 2021 class between wide receiver and running back?
It's really funny he picks those two positions. I mean, wide receiver, that's a great question, actually, because after this season, we could lose a lot at both, depending on how they produce, excuse me. So at wide receiver, we have a true junior and Mark Pope, a true junior and D. Wiggins. So those two guys theoretically could also leave, which would have a lot of open spots. I think as of right now, wide receiver isn't the highest on our list because we already have 4 big-time wide receivers committed already. So, I mean, I don't really see – I know running back is something we're going to have to really start talking about because Cam Davis has made it known he's probably gone. You know, he said this season's for his family. When players start talking like that, they're usually out of here in 3 years. So you got Cam, and you also have Knighton, Don Chaney, Robert Burns. But as of right now, we have committed Thad Franklin, a high 4-star running back as of right now. So I think we might be good on running back, but we could bring in one more scat player, which could be either Yokeith Brown or Amari Daniels, who's willing to come in and be a running back type of out the backfield type of player. But I think we have our marquee back in this class already. And we have our wide receiver room kind of filled.
So throughout the show, we've been plugging the Wholesome Ones channel. So check it out right here on YouTube, HOLSUM and the number 1. And Wholesome One, you're going the way of the voice of college football. You're expanding out to various channels now.
Yes, I am. Super excited about it. It's a different opportunity for me. Something I've always thought about. But, you know, eventually, you know, they say if you're feeling froggy, you got to jump. And I'm willing to kind of take this to the next level and see what I can do. And what that means here is we're going H1H gaming. And so what we're going to do there is, as you can see, it's kind of similar to what's being done across college football on YouTube as far as using the PS3, streaming these games. But it's going to be Miami Hurricanes focused. But not only that, we're going to redo the 2019 season. That was atrocious. All right. But what the problem is and what the difference is going to be is that I'm not just playing the game, Mark. There's a mode on the game called coach mode. And what that means is you call in the plays, but the AI controls what happens on the field. So I can't control Greg Rousseau and make him do an inside move. I can only tell him to slide, or I can only tell the linebackers to creep over. I can only tell the safeties to back up. And then the AI controls what happens on the field. So it's kind of out of your hands. It's very similar to the coaching experience on Saturdays. You can put the player in position, but it's up to them to make the play. So it's been an exciting opportunity for me to do that. We're going to do 2019 redo. We're also going to do the 2020 season game by game, week by week. We're going to upload. And something else I'm ultra excited about is we're going to do Coach Wholesome. So I'm going to start off as a defensive coordinator at an institution. We're going to do a poll from there, and then we'll pick whatever school we're going to do. I'm going to incorporate you all into recruits that we're going to go after, and we're going to have all type of speed and strength and what scheme we're going to run and all that type of stuff. So it's going to be exciting. You know, we'll pick and follow me on a journey virtually as to where my dream job is head coach at Miami. So we're going to follow me all the way through. You know, whether it's DC at Middle Tennessee State, DC at Akron, and I get a big job at Auburn or something like that. And then maybe it doesn't work out. So I got to go back down a little bit to take my step up. And maybe I get the DC job and then now at Miami. Now I got to work to be the head coach, you know. And so all that type of stuff and incorporating it with you all, the fans, into the system. So we're excited about that. And something I've been working on in the works. I didn't want to release it until I had everything necessary to work on it. So it's an exciting idea, and I appreciate you giving me a little time to talk about it.
So DC at Miami, and then that parlays into a head coaching job. I just can't really see that ever happening for anyone, or that would ever happen. Is that possible?
Yeah, it's very possible.
Maybe spend a few days in Philadelphia in between those.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe just go to Philly for a few days.
I'll
have a
get on a
news
private
conference.
plane and we'll go from there. So I'm pretty excited about it, man. We done a quick poll, and one of them was to start at NDSU, start as a DC at NDSU, and climb my way through the ranks and see where I can go from there. So I'm pretty amped about it, and it's exciting. And another thing is tonight on my channel, before I start the new H1H gaming. So we're going to have a preview that comes out tonight. And the very first game is already done and complete, and that's the Orlando game, a redo of August 24th against Florida. So we will have the preview drop tonight at 8 p.m. on my channel. And then tomorrow night, Saturday night, will be the premiere of the H1H gaming. You will have the full game experience Saturday night, 8 p.m. on the new channel H1H Gaming. So I would love it. The goal is to get to first 500 subs and then get to 1,000 and roll from there. So we're going to do the first half of the season, the first couple of weeks here up until 500. So I'm going to give you an incentive. After 500 subs, we'll do the rest of the season. And then once we hit 1,000, we'll start the Coach Wholesome journey. And it's a blessing, and I'm hoping it works out.
Now, who knows what's going to happen when those two teams get back together in Orlando, because that game was a coin flip.
Oh, absolutely. And now they're getting coached by somebody who's pretty aggressive. So maybe that lets you know what's going to happen, you know. So, hey.
Do you still have Jaron Williams at quarterback?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So you can make that change.
Absolutely.
So you're replaying the game, but you can put in your own guys.
Yes, exactly. So,
but you've got to stick to the 2019 roster. So you're going to Cozy Perry.
Exactly. You know, Mark. You know, yeah. There's some other changes. You know, depth chart at wide receiver, depth chart at defensive end, depth chart at defensive tackle, at offensive line. All those type of things you will be able to see if you come on and check us out.
Joel Perez is speaking your language here. When are we going to see Cam in a Wholesome One show? We'll have to throw that together here soon.
It happened one time, and I think it's happened like 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah,
but it was super exciting for me. I mean, as somebody who, like I said, when I was at Mayville State before I transferred to North Dakota State, and I was in my dorms, I could not wait to sit down and wait for you all. This was kind of before you did lives. It was more upload recording. Yeah. And I would always watch it because he would do breakdowns of every group, and I've never seen anybody ever do something like that. And it was always on your channel, and it was super cool. So I'm excited about that. And if I do get a chance to share the screen with them again, you know, the number one school we won't spend any time talking about is those people in Tallahassee. So.
Well, certainly when we got you two on the same screen at the same time, it was tremendous. It was a great time to hear both of you go at it with your insight into Miami and the ACC.
And a little inner South Florida rivalry. He's a Broward County guy, and I'm a Dade County guy. You know, and he taught at one of the crosstown rivals. He taught at Miramar High School. I don't know if he's an alumni. No, he's not, because he's from Michigan. And I went to American Senior High School, which is in Hialeah, Miami Lakes. And we're right at that county line. So it's like a cross-county rivalry. And we used to have this game called the Patriot Bowl. We're the American High Patriots, and they're the Miramar Patriots. So we used to have the Patriot Bowl. So that's where that little inner South Florida rivalry is between us two. And it's kind of fun and exciting to have that chance to talk a little smack with them.
Got K-Brew 25 Canes. He's asking about Brandon Cleveland. Recent commit here. Let's see, 13th rated D tackle, 2022 class. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, not a commit. Okay, I saw Miami logo all over the place on the 247 Sports page. I know you're locked in on 2021. So to be reaching to 2022.
So, I mean, I've heard about him. I've seen a little film on him, but I mean, I also wait to see that junior film before I kind of just hop on a prospect. I mean, either way, he's a marquee South Florida guy. So as you see, 247, I think, has us 100% or something like that.
Yes.
To land him, you know, and that's a great thing. 2 positions, I think, not only locally, but now I believe if we start producing draft picks out of them, shout out to Mr. Rubicon. We always talk about draft picks, but It's going to be defensive end. Hopefully, it creeps into defensive line across the board. But right now, defensive end and safety. We can start rolling out marquee, nationally viewed players. Greg Rousseau was a lowly recruit, according to some people. He was nationally ranked eventually when he came here and produced on the field. So now what does that mean? The National Football League knows who this guy is. And now you can go take him, and now you got a defensive end. So now our defensive end recruiting doesn't just have to be South Florida. It doesn't just have to be the state of Florida. If we start producing good defensive ends, you can creep into the Southeastern Conference and start getting into those conversations with some of the big-time 5-star defensive ends if we start producing good play on the football field, because now people want to come and play in that system. I'm pretty excited about that. And that safety, I mean, you talk about our safety room is big time, especially after getting Avante. Now you got James. You already have light-skinned warrior Bubba Bolden. And you also got Gervin Hall. You got Amari Carter. You got Jalen Harrell. You got Keyshawn Smith. I mean, it's just guys on top of guys. And some of those guys, nationally, you may not know who they are. Wait till we get on the football field. You'll see.
We talk college football every day here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We get to as many teams as we possibly can. So understand, if your team's not represented, I get to as many teams as I possibly can, but it also has to do with relevance of the program. It has to do with popularity, has to do with the guests that I get on as well. So be looking out for a lot of scheduling analysis out of me and a number of guests here in the next several days with all the conference schedules coming out just here recently. And of course, I've got more to say about the coaches preseason top 25 poll as well. So I'll get that out over the weekend. We talked some Clemson football. That video was released this morning talking about their schedule, their ranking in the coaches poll at number 1, and their loss of Xavier Thomas, a former 5-star who will be sitting out the season as well.
Oh, he announced it? I know it was rumors about him talking about it. He's made it official?
Yeah, that was official. Yes.
Wow, man.
It was made official. Yes.
Goodness. So he's going to take a red shirt and sit out so that he's eligible for the – because then he was a true sophomore, correct?
Yes.
So he's going to take a red shirt, and then is he going to play next year?
A red shirt.
Just enter in the – well, he would have to do 3 whole years. So even if he took a red shirt, he couldn't be eligible for 2021's draft.
Yeah, he's coming back.
Okay.
But he's had a lot of issues. The whole virus situation, though, I've got some mixed reports on that. Well, he did have COVID, but he's recovered. But, you know, his training conditioning is still way behind in regards to trying to get ready for a season.
Oh, okay. So he's just trying to make sure he's in the best position for himself as a football player. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Makes sense.
All right, everyone. That about wraps it up for another Miami Live, our 76th edition, this time with the wholesome one. We're coming back tomorrow morning if you haven't gotten enough. And certainly the treat tomorrow will not only be, of course, the analysis from Cam Underwood from State of the U and myself, but also we got Jason Parker from NBC6 who's going to jump on late in the show to talk Florida State versus Miami. And we'll see where that goes. It should be a whole lot of fun, and certainly has been for the last hour here with the wholesome one, giving us 75 minutes of Miami analysis with so much going on. HOLSUM and the number 1. Check him out here on YouTube and lock it in for his second channel that's launching very soon. Wholesome one, you know, it's always appreciated, man. Thank you so much.
Much love. Y'all have a great day. God bless.